Hey, what's going on everybody? Rob Marzullo here, Ram Studio Comics, and bringing you another series of videos where I do some basic digital painting techniques. As you can see here, I've already started and done a couple little warm-ups, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you how I do something like that really quick and easy, and so it can allow you to get started with your own digital painting. And keep in mind, this isn't an advanced course at all. I'm still a somewhat novice in the digital paint field, but I feel I can offer a few things that might help some of the beginners get across their struggles. So I'll show you real quick how I did the armor to the leg. I just first sketched this out. Now I've got a standard brush. It's not on shape dynamics. It's only on transfer, and I cover that in some of my other videos. So if you got any questions there, just watch some of the videos and you'll see. I just go over here under brush and just go to transfer, pen pressure, pen pressure. That's about it. Other than that, I just use a few basic brushes that come with Photoshop. So I am using CS6 here. Use whatever you like or whatever you got. A lot of the softwares will do a lot of the same things. So okay, so at any rate, just to show you what I'm doing here, if I'm going to do some type of armor, I first designate my shape. Okay, so there's a basic shape. I'll even change this one up a bit. I'll do like maybe this is a knee plate or something, right? So I'll do like this pointed diamond shape right here. Maybe this protects the knee of the knight or something. So there's our decorative kind of knee plate or something, whatever. Okay, so yeah, at first I designate my light source. One of the things I like about using a brush like this, it allows you to shadow and texture at the same time, which for painting that works out really well. So you want to get in the habit of doing that. And yeah, just keep shadowing that away. Now the other thing I would do is, since each one of these are a segmented kind of overlap to the next piece, they're going to cast a little bit of a natural shadow like that. So I'll just kind of draw that in below each segment. And then since there's a point here, we're going to get a transition of the dark and then slowly fades off. So I'll draw that as I keep or kind of paint that in as I go. Alright, now the other thing that's real important is to select everything. I always leave my my lasso to additive, which you can do right up here. See that? It makes sure that each time you grab something, it adds it to the previous selection, so you don't have to hold shift. So that's another little quick tidbit for you. And see how I can just keep drawing that in. And if I mess up and there's something I don't like, I can just hit the Alt key. I'm usually pretty good at drawing my selections, and I'm only trying to stay relatively within that my outlined shape. Just like that. Now another good thing, if you're trying to get your selection just right, you can hit Q on your keyboard. Turns it into a quick mask, and you can use black and white to paint or erase your mask. See that? So I'm looking at it right there. That mask is overall pretty decent. So I'll hit Q again. I'm back on my mask, and now I'm back on brush. I'm black. I've got my opacity down a little bit, and now I'll paint in the entire thing. It's always good to kind of paint down to a deeper value to start getting your paintings to look more realistic. You want to be very sparingly with your white. White should only be your extreme highlights. And maybe if the character's wearing like white in their suit or something, but you're generally hardly ever going to have a lot of white. If there's a lot of white in your designs, and I'm guilty of this, you're probably not seeing lighting properly, and you need to keep studying that and adjusting that in your mind's eye, because if you look around you, even in the room you're sitting in right now, it's very rare that you see white. It's used very sparingly in items and things, so in reality or whatever. So okay, so I got a little bit of shadowing there. Now I want to define some kind of shape even on this side. Even though the highlight's going to be over here, there still has to be some form of definition and shape. So even if I do that real light, I'm starting to round that out a little bit more. If you can see what I'm doing there. Okay, and then now I'll come back. See, I haven't smudged anything yet. I think I'll add a little bit more shadow to the base of each one of these shapes. And I say segments a lot because anything that's separated or divided to me like this is a segment, and that's the way I look at it when I'm painting it or drawing it, because you almost have to treat them individually as far as shadowing and highlights go. And also the fact that we got to remember that this is going to be a specular object. So you see how over here I grabbed the highlight from what I would consider the furthest point forward, and then a highlight to the side showing the bend there. So I'll do the same thing here. I'll start off and I'll start painting in the highlight here, quickly brighten it, just because this is a specular object, so the highlight is gonna transition really quick. It's not gonna fade off smoothly around the entire object. If it did, it would signify more of a flesh tone or something with a skin to it, or maybe even a cloth, something softer. But when it's harder and more coarse or more specular in nature, it's going to be a very tight transition from light to dark. So you'll notice that when you look at like cars or metals or weapons, armor, whatever. So there's our quick highlight. I'm going to get that really bright at the highest point. So there's my white. I don't want to overdo it. And then on the very edge of this, I'll also do another highlight, like so. Because mainly, these types of objects, for one, they show highlights really defined, but then also they show a lot of bounced light. So you want to keep that in mind when doing your armor and your metals, that they're gonna catch a lot of bounced light, refracted light, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so there's that. Now I'll take Control D, which will deselect for me. I don't like the line on the other side, so I'm going to go Select Inverse, and I'm going to just go ahead and erase that. See if this looks any better. It's another reason why I like having the selection on. Yeah, I think I like that better. It had kind of a funky edge around the perimeter of it, so now I can even have the erase tool still in hand. I don't know if I have a hard brush, but it works better with the hard brush, and I can go back and clean up my my very edge to this. But some of those bumps might come in handy. You could sit there and and this is the other thing. Now that there's enough painted surface down, I can hit lock transparency over here. This is a really cool effect because now I can paint freely like it's selected, even though it's not. And say I want to add a little bit of roughness or texture to the edge of this. See how I'm not painting on the white surface, I'm just painting on the what do you call it, sorry, I'm drawing a blank here, the armor, I guess, but I was trying to say the artwork, but I'm sitting there looking at it and realizing it's only painting on a portion of it. Now the reason being is because it hasn't I didn't put down enough opacity. Even though it looks opaque, it's because there's white behind it. I didn't put down enough opacity where the transparency layer is working properly. So keep in mind, if you paint enough opacity down, which I should have before I started that, that would have worked just fine. Now if I grab it with the selection tool, select Inverse, quick mask to make sure I got it selected properly. Q for quick mask, by the way. And quick mask allows you to see a little bit more in depth with this and paint in, turn my opacity back up, paint in your mask. So what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of that little funky white edge or whatever real quick by painting around it. And you could select it too. I just like drawing in my mask sometimes, so I'm going to fix that issue we had because I really want to show you the importance of using your transparency pixels effect. Sorry this is taking so long. Just give me a sec. Maybe go grab yourself some Kool-Aid while I get this all fixed up. Just kidding, I'm almost done. And who drinks Kool-Aid anymore anyways? Okay, so quick mask, back to Q. I guess I should get rid of that other funky stuff off to the side. Oh. Alt to deselect certain objects like that. Okay, so now I have just my armor selected. That should be about right. What I'm going to do is actually add a layer. Boom. Boom. Drop that behind there. Control E merges down. Okay, so now, now I have a solid object. So now if I even deselect this, I hit transparent pixel locked pixels, whatever. Now I can do what I was talking about, where I paint inside of it. I don't go outside of it. It's got enough pixel information to do that. So sorry. So at any rate, now I can go through and add some grit and some texture to the edges of this armor, because even though I have a little bit on the inside, there's no way that the edges of this armor would be as clean and crisp as I have it. So what I do is just kind of dirty it up a little bit, muddy it up, whatever. And then what you do is after you get a little bit of that texture and that grit in there, you just kind of come back and pinpoint areas of it that you like and that you think would look cooler if you added some, took some away, whatever. It's just kind of a process in which you feel things out. Really, if you're trying to get better at art, you just need to delve into it and do as much as possible. It sounds cliche, like anything. If you just do a lot of it, you're going to get better, obviously. But art is very much in that regard, where what you're doing is looking for things that stick, that resonate with you, that influence you. That you look at and go, man, I really like the way that came out. Make a note of it. Write that down. Like, you need to log that information and make it accessible, so that when you come back, you go like, hey man, I drew the perfect knee plate to that armor. I got that stuff down, like, so next time you go to do it, that comes to mind, the way that you did it, and you just knock it right out and do it better and better every time that you revisit that. So that's all you're really trying to do. And then sometimes I might figure out a cool texture for this, and then it might apply to 10 other things that I draw randomly. So that's really, in my opinion, that's what you're doing. That's what you're getting better at. It's not unattainable by people. When people go, oh, I feel like I can't draw that good. It's just a practice. So just get in there, do it, knock it out, have fun with it, and you'll get better. So no worries. So yeah, so I'm gritting it up, adding some texture. Probably should have made a copy off to the side just to show you, and to show myself maybe things I'm adding right now are making it look better. Maybe they're not. I just know it looked too smooth and too clean. I guess we got the one off to the right for a comparison. So there I've added some texture, some grit. I'm going to even add it into the highlights a bit. So let me do that. And also, just so you know, because it always bothers me when artists are doing something, they don't explain, kind of what they're doing. For all I'm just, I'm scribbling across this with extreme pressure and, white knuckling it. I'm not. I'm just very lightly dabbing this brush. Well, it's at 100% right now. Just dabbing it, and I'm actually going in one direction. Boom, boom, boom. Feel it. Encouragement. No, but I'm just trying to say that, I'm not, this is full pressure right there. I'm not doing that. I'm very lightly just kind of throwing some dabs in there. Like I try to picture if I was using a paintbrush, and you know, I'm trying not to put down too much paint at once. So if that makes any sense to you. Okay, X flips my colors back and forth. I'm still just predominantly working, uh, or I'm only working in black and white right now. So just kind of bouncing back and forth, and now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to build highlights in with this white that I'm using, but I'm also going to use just little dabs to build in some more texture with the white. See if I can further bring that grittiness out, and also keeping in mind to hit some of the edges like so. So I don't have this perfect line running around the perimeter of this piece of armor or whatever. So I'm just kind of breaking that up a bit. And keep in mind, people, like I said in this video and other videos, I'm not like some big high-end professional. I'm just a guy with a dream. I'm just a guy doing it, and I make a little bit of money with my art. Don't get me wrong. I don't make a killing off it, but I'm getting better all the time, and I'm making a little more as I go. So I just don't want to give people some false impression of what I am and what I do. Uh, like I'm some high and mighty artist. I'm just somebody trying to figure it out just like you are. So um, take that in respect with the videos, that I don't want people to think that I think I'm some amazing artist, because I get that a little bit in some of the comments, like they'll act like, I don't know, some people are rude and they'll say like, oh man, you talked about yada yada and you went off on some tangent, and it's like, well, sorry, dude, I'm just sitting here trying to show you my techniques. It's not like I'm getting rich on this, so I don't know. I guess I shouldn't feel the need to explain myself like that, but to the people that are cool and coming back and checking out my stuff, I just want to make that known that I try to be humble and you know, not think that I'm all that and a bag of chips. I'm pretty cool though. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd be a pretty good, like a 7.4 or something, somewhere in there. But yeah, so as you can see, that's me trying to add a little bit more grit to the one on the left versus the one on the right. I don't know if I possibly overdid it. A lot of times I'll go back. This is the smudge brush here. I'll just kind of dabble that in there and tone it back a little bit more, and just keep going with it. And sometimes I'll hit pay dirt, right away and say, oh, I love where that one went, and other times I gotta kind of finagle it. But it's just kind of a process of going back and forth, and you know, again, seeing what sticks, seeing what resonates, and what jumps out in your mind's eye and goes, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Now the other thing that you would do at this juncture, if you get to this point, you're say content with where you're at in the artwork, um, I would just add another layer. I typically use color mode and or overlay. I mix them up. I use a bunch of them. I'll even use some straight opacity by the time I'm done. Let's say that this armor is somewhat golden, but you want kind of this, I can't remember what I use for gold. It's like a orangish brown. Let's try, yeah, I know it when I see it, but I'm not seeing it. Let's try something in here. Alright, so I got it on color mode. I've got the transparency pixels locked, I believe. No, I don't. Oh, duh. I would have to be on the artwork for that to work anyways. Okay, so there's that. So let me change the brush to color mode. Either one should work for you. Okay, so there's that with color mode. And then, you just keep playing with it. Like, let me try to take the dodge tool and see if I can brighten some of the highlights over here. Yeah, see, that looks a little better to me. And then I'd probably take another layer. Let me duplicate this actually. Duplicate and take more of a brown now. Let me sample this. Go into more of the deeper brown, brownish red, and still in color mode. I'm not digging that. Let me try. What do I want to do here? Let me jump back over to this color mode. Normal here. No. Let's try overlay. Nope. No cigar. Let's try normal. Okay, what am I doing wrong here? Is it because it's locked? Yeah, that was it. Okay, so now I'm painting with normal mode. I'm just trying to add some darker contrasting brown here to this. And actually, probably better if I was blotching this in, to tell you the truth. And I think it needs to even be darker. Brown, almost black. I want it to have a little bit of brown in there. Yeah, I'm kind of dabbing it in there again because I don't want to wipe away all the texture that I painstakingly dropped in there. But by adding this brown and potentially even some red, it's gonna give it a little bit more life. So let me try some like burgundy, rust red, something like that. And bear with me because I am not a color guy. Like something about color kind of escapes me. I see things more in black and white when it comes to drawing and all that. I love when I see great color work, but it's just not my cup of tea for some reason. So forgive me if this isn't coming out excellent. Maybe a little bit over here on this side. And that's really all I do for digital paint. I mean, this is just one little thing that you could do, but you should, in my opinion, you should practice various textures and segments and portions of your art, and then group it all together, and then make something massive like your, full character and your dimensional blase splee, whatever. But you first want to like capture portions of it. Do a cloud, do a hand, do some hair, flowing in the wind, and all these things, and then collectively put it all together and create your masterpiece. It's almost like if you jump in and do all of it at once, something's going to get lost. You're going to flake out before you can, accomplish it. So at any rate, this is a good way to practice. Hopefully that helps you. Be sure to comment, be sure to like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Also, tell me what you'd like to see in the future so I can address that for you, because I definitely will. And I thank you very much for participating and for watching the videos today, and be sure to check out more on the way. And you can also visit robertmarzullo.com for some of my artwork, and I appreciate the visits to my site. And also ramstudios1.deviantart. So thanks very much. Have a good day. Keep drawing. Keep having fun. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.